Oh wait, so I forgot to film an intro earlier, so I'm doing that now. So this whole video is me showing how to put together a mount. I had gotten my pheasant from taxidermy, and I wanted to turn it into a table, so this is part one of that. And this part is me going through designing the base that the pheasant is going to be on. The whole naturalistic look, so that's what this one is, and I hope you enjoy. So I started with laying my pheasant out and making sure I had the proper measurements. I was kind of fitting this in a tight area, so I decided that a 2x2 square would be good. This would also give plenty of room for my pheasant and some bushes and stuff to go in the background. I was taking 2 pieces of styrofoam, so I taped those together just to make sure that it wouldn't move around while I'm trying to cut. Yeah, I'm cutting through it right now. And one thing I quickly learned about cutting through the styrofoam is that it flakes and it, bends and folds and everything while you're trying to cut it. Could have had a nicer knife while doing this, might have made it easier, but I did have a pretty jagged edge when I finished. I was using 2 pieces of styrofoam and I was doubling it up, that way it would be thicker and higher off the ground when I actually put my mount in. So at this point I decided to move to the garage, that way it wouldn't be such a big mess. I decided that I would use glue to hold the styrofoam together, and the best brand I found for that would be Weld Lock. It has a strong connection and a bonding pointage for styrofoam. It also doesn't melt the styrofoam like some glues will. I applied it to both the top and the bottom piece just for a stronger bond. Here I'm just applying glue to the insides of the boards just to give it a stronger connection so that when I pick it up, they don't fall apart. I didn't do this, but I should have done it to flip it over to the other sides as well. Right here I'm grabbing some of the fake grassy stuff that I got at Hobby Lobby. I don't really know what it's called, but I saw a video on how to do this. You can basically take some strands of this, like I'm doing here. You don't want them all the same length, but you want them about the same length. And what you then do is you kind of hold them and you take a wire brush like I'm doing there, and you just, go over it, brush it out, and it kind of shreds it, I would almost say, and makes it real grassy looking. This is what it looked like when it was done. It had a real grassy look, and this ended up becoming very useful for my mount. So now that the glue had set with the styrofoam, I decided it was time to start with the grass. Right here I'm using a 50-50 mixture of Elmer's glue and water, and I tried to just stick it on to the styrofoam at first. It didn't work real well. I thought I just needed more glue. I didn't. If you have a spray bottle, I would 100% recommend that. This is what I ended up doing the rest of the time, just kind of rubbing the whole bush together and letting it flake off. And it did give me the look I was looking for. So there's a little time jump right here, yep. And I had pretty much finished laying the grass, and this is when I was still pouring it out and then kind of going over it with the bushel stuff. And I would flip to a spray bottle later because I decided it was so much easier It really allows you to cover a whole bigger area in less time, took up less resources. So at this point, I actually start laying the bushes, and for these bushes, I decided the best method was to just poke a hole in the styrofoam and just kind of push it in with a pencil, and then use glue to just seal it up. So here I'm just laying this tall grassy stuff that I got at Hobby Lobby. Everything I got in this video you can get at Hobby Lobby for under $31. Yeah, the best method for laying this stuff is just poke it in the styrofoam one by one. I did try to do a whole bunch here and it didn't end up working. I had to pick it all out and just lay them one by one, and it really didn't take that long to do. So in the corner, I finished the one bush off camera. I'm just kind of going back and laying, a few more of these tall grassy things down, and just trying to make it look a little nicer. These two bushes that I put down, I decided I wasn't going to use them because I didn't want there to be too much in there. The bush in my hand, I did end up using, and they looked pretty good. It was kind of different color and everything from everything else, so it made it kind of pop. And, it just kind of looks like the natural environment for a pheasant. Here's just a closer view of how I'm actually laying these bushes in. Just poke a hole, poke at the bush till it's in the hole, and just seal it up with the glue, and that's about it. I'm laying a few more of these tall grassy things in the back, just to make it look a little bit more full. I will say, a lot of the stuff I had planned to use, I didn't use, just because sometimes less is better, especially when you come to a mount like this. You just don't want there to be a whole lot of stuff to see. You want your mount to kind of pop in the center of the whole thing, and not just have so much background noise. So at this point, I was pretty much finished with how I wanted my mount to look. So I did a couple more final details, and then I moved it to my room. Yeah, so right here, this is what my mount looks like when it's placed in the design. Found a couple shotgun shells and a shed in there, and it looks pretty good.